guys, this is Tina from Shabby Dabby Doodah. Welcome back to my channel. So we're here for another one of our Missing Mojo Masterclasses, and what we're going to be doing this week is hidden paper clips. I had a few requests for hidden paper clips, so I've played around and I'm going to show you the easiest way that I found of making the hidden paper clips. There are several different ways to make these, but this is the way that I've found the easiest way. So obviously we're doing the Missing Mojo Masterclass, so we want to go for always the easiest ways. So we're going to be using thinnish paper. So this is kind of that 110 or 120, I always get confused, GSM paper. So you can make these with thicker paper. The only thing that I would kind of say there is, you know, they can end up quite bulky. So it's up to you what kind of thickness that you use as your paper, but, you know, you might not want to kind of bulk them out too much. That being said, you know, obviously kind of have a play around and find what works best for you. So I'm just going to cut my paper down into a rectangle. Now, this is a normal A4 sheet of paper, which is, you know, very similar to the US letter paper. So I've just taken a slither. Now, just for context, this is about 2.5 inches, which may turn out to be a little bit on the wide side, in which case we'll need to trim it down. But all I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this in half. Oops, like that. Okay. And then it's too long and also very flimsy because, of course, it is, you know, thinnish paper. So what I want to do is reinforce this to make it thicker. So all I'm going to do is fold my paper up like that. Okay. Unfold it, and then what I want to do is literally glue it down in here so that I'm reinforcing the paper and making it thicker, but not as thick as, you know, if I were using kind of like a thick, more cardstocky type quality paper. Okay, so this is just literally for the reinforcement so that it's more durable. So fold that over. Okay. Woo. Throwing my piece of paper around like this. And then at this point we can kind of trim it down in a second. So if I, you know, decide that it is a little bit on the wide side. So that's your piece of paper now. As you can see, it's more square than rectangular. So for me, that does feel a little bit wide. So I'm going to just take it down slightly. Okay. So now it's just literally 2.25 inches really. And just to give you kind of context, it's about 2.25, just over, by just under 3 inches in height. So, you know, rough kind of guidance there. But of course, you know, you don't have to kind of follow what I'm doing here. So then I'm going to take a smaller rectangle and we're going to just fold that to put over the top of here. So this is where we're forming our hidden section. Okay. So this is going to go sitting over there, hiding the paper clip, so forming the hidden paper clip. So at this point, you know, you can round the corners, you know, you could leave them square, up to you really. You can rough it up, you know, like sometimes when we do that roughing around the edges with the scissors, all of that kind of thing to, you know, get to an appearance that you like. So just, there we go. Right, oh gosh. The more I cut this, the more I'm messing it up. Oh my goodness, that looks really wonky now. Oh, I'm not doing a good job of that. Never mind. Right, okay. Now, talk about paper clips now. Quick chat about paper clips. I'm going to be using what I would call the standard paper clip size. So these are like just over 1 inch, okay? So the, you know, the normal kind of paper clip size. Now, if you look at the side of the paperclip, these are a flat paperclip, okay? You can get paperclips with this little kind of lip type bit. I don't know whether the camera's really picking this up, to be honest, but you preferably don't want to use these. So if you've got the flat paperclips, rather than these with that kind of like bent up lip, these are the better ones to use. Obviously, you know, kind of like play it by ear, but if you've got those, then obviously that's, you know, that's all that you've got, then you'll have to use them. But personally, I think this is going to kind of like ruin your project a little bit. although you could possibly cover it up with some lace and things later. But if you've got the flat ones, they're the ones to use. Also, if you've got these bright coloured like plastic coated ones, you could use some of these up, you know, because I often sort of struggle to use these in a project, you know, because they're not very vintage looking. So this is a place where you could, you know, potentially get rid of some of these by using them. So you're just going to clip these over your initial rectangle, okay? Then going to just ink around the edge of my rectangle here and on the back, because of course these hidden paper clips, they're genius because they're double-sided. You know, you're going to see both sides of these. So round the edges like that. Okie dokie. Right, like that. Now, all you're going to do is you're going to want to glue this down, covering up your paper clip. Now, just a little bit of a word of, you know, kind of caution really. Can you see here, my paper is not flush with here. So hopefully the camera's picking that up, because obviously we've got the bulk of the paper clip that's making the paper kind of like stick up more. Again, it doesn't really bother me. If it did, you would have to have these, you know, where you snip this down and glue it on one side and then the other side. The only thing then, you're going to have like the top of your paper clip showing. So it's up to you really if you want to do that, or whether you would prefer to cover your paper clip up. It might be that if you're using these plastic coated ones, you're going to prefer to cover it up, but maybe if you used metal ones, you know, you'd be happy for that top little bit to show. It's up to you really. But yeah, just kind of like something to be a little bit aware of. So we're going to just put this down here like this and just glue it down. Now obviously this is all with my wet glue, so this is quite saturated now. It's, you know, it's quite a soggy kind of paper clip now. As this dries, this will harden. So at the moment I would struggle to use this because it's now very, very flimsy, you know, because it's kind of soggy. As this dries, it's going to harden and it will become more, you know, more durable to be able to use it. Okay. So it's more apparent now. You can hopefully see where I've just got that little lip here on either side where it's, you know, sticking up slightly from the paper clip. I mean, it's just a little something to kind of note. Doesn't really bother me, but you know, it might bother you, in which case, like I say, cut this in half and glue it on as two individual bits of paper. But that's literally all there is to these. And then let me just show you on a piece of paper. So your hidden paper clip is now tucked here between your bits of paper like that, and you've got on either side the paper clip. So, you know, they're really nice, aren't they? And then of course you could decorate it up. So let's just make a few of these and then we'll decorate a few of these up. So, you know, they're pretty fun and very, very simple. Like I say, I played around with various different methods. There's all different methods out there that you can use to make these. But personally, having played around this morning kind of with a few different methods, this is the method that I thought, actually, this is going to be easiest, which obviously we're trying to keep things nice and simple to get our mojos back. So, you know, up to you kind of obviously whether you know, use this method or a different method. But I just found this was, you know, a good method to use for if you're wanting, you know, quick and easy. So all I'm going to do is a bit like we do in the mass making. I'm going to take my papers, cut a bunch of my rectangles for the base pieces, and then we'll cut a bunch of rectangles for the, you know, the top pieces, and then we'll decorate a few up. You know, we'll assemble them and then we'll decorate a few up. So I will try and remember to tell you the papers that I'm using. So this here, this from my new florals collection papers, and this is the set 2 paper. Okay, so I'll just take a couple of those, and then that's probably enough because I don't want them all to look the same. I'm using quite a few from that florals collection, so I've got these. Now these are quite nice perhaps as the top little rectangles. So I'm just going to cut a couple of these down to use as the top ones. Perhaps I'll do one as the top and one sort of wider one as a bottom one. So yeah, this is the florals again, and this again, set 2. So just cut that, cut the narrower rectangle as well. And especially for the smaller rectangles, definitely you could use scraps for this. I mean, you could use scraps for the other bits as well, providing they were long enough pieces. So, you know, just depends on the sort of scraps that you've got. This is from some of my From the Vault paper, and this is from the Vault set 3. So again, going to just take this down as my initial rectangle. Okey-dokey. Love this green, it's so pretty, isn't it? Okay. I think, you know, a couple of people, obviously, when they'd requested doing this is the florals, but this is the set 1 collection papers. Yeah, lots of people who had requested the hidden paper clips kind of said that they struggled to have them looking neat. So hopefully this is going to be, you know, a nice, easy way to get them looking pretty neat and, you know, pretty nice. So yeah, hopefully you're gonna be pleased with your results from these. And, you know, they come together pretty quickly. Sometimes those hidden paper clips, they can be very faffy to make and, you know, don't really come together very quick. Which, of course, all adds to, you know, not wanting to do any crafting, doesn't it? If things are really faffy and not great, then you're not going to really want to be doing the crafting. So this is my From the Vault, sorry, not From the Vault. This is my Vintage Desk set 5, I think this is. So I'm just going to take a couple of these because these will work nicely as the little rectangles as well. So take that one. Okey-dokey. And then we've got a couple of texty bits, so perhaps take a couple of those as well. Oops. Let's take that one. So I hope everyone is having a good day. Maybe you are doing some crafting. I hope you're having a nice time. The sun is actually kind of shining today. Honestly, we've had a couple of really horrendous days. Like Monday, wow, it was terrible. The rain was like torrential, really, really bad. So, and I think it was quite bad yesterday. I'm now struggling to remember, but yeah, I don't think it was too clever yesterday. But today, much nicer, much colder. Feels really chilly today. So I've got on a really thick kind of woolly cardigan and my, you know, really quite a thick polo neck. And I'm still pretty chilly. So yeah, it's not the best. Not the best. But I always do say this, my house is pretty chilly. So, you know, it might not actually be that cold, but my house is very cold. So that sort of just could be why I'm so freezing. Right, so this again is the floral set 1. So, yeah, hopefully we're going to have lots of different looks. Okay. Great way to use up these plastic paper clips because, like I say, I mean, sometimes I struggle because, you know, they're not really very vintage. The only place that I do tend to use them is, you know, if you do like a kids book journal, I think they're very fun for those types of journals. But yeah, aside from that, I probably don't really use them particularly because I think, you know, they're not really vintage looking. I haven't really made a children's book journal like for ages and ages. Must do one because I do really enjoy doing them when I do them. But like all these things, you just kind of like forget, don't you, really? And you know, forget the things that you like to do. This again is the Vintage Floral set 1. I think, to be honest, I've probably cut that blue strip a bit narrow, so I might have to do another one of those. There we go. So I hope that you're enjoying this Missing Mojo Masterclass. You know, like I say, I think this is possibly episode 7 now. So, you know, there's only obviously a couple more left to run. But yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed it. Don't forget, do leave comments of what else you would like to see, because obviously, you know, otherwise I won't have any ideas for what to do in just the last couple. I'm just going to cut another blue one. I'm thinking I keep on doing these too narrow. I'm not sure quite what's going on. I think I did the last one too narrow as well. Yeah, I'm going to have to recut those. That's pretty annoying. I think I've done this one too narrow as well. What is going on with my ability to judge the width of these? It's not very good, is it? Look, it's barely any wider. It's a little bit wider, but yeah, it's not wide enough. Look, those original ones were much wider. Let me do another one. Oh, honestly. What on earth? Obviously not very good today. Okay. So what's everyone got planned for the weekend? Have you got some nice plans? I don't know what the weather's doing here for the weekend. I haven't actually seen the weather forecast. It's probably not great. You know, obviously you don't expect it to be great because it's now, you know, middle of October. But yeah, I haven't actually seen the weather. I don't know what it's supposed to be doing, but... My son's going on like work do. Yeah, I don't know. Don't feel like we've got really anything much planned, that's for sure. Right, okay, let's do these because I feel like I've got quite a few here. So we're going to start, remember, folding our rectangles in half. You know, the big ones. So let's just do all of those. Oops. And then we want to, remember, just fold up the ends, which is just kind of like reinforcing them, making them thicker. And again, you know, obviously if you're using thicker paper for these, you don't need to worry about that, you know, because your paper is going to be thicker anyway. So you don't need to obviously double the paper over to reinforce them. They're going to be, you know, thick and sturdy enough. But if, like me, you're using thinner paper, then you probably do want to just, you know, thicken them up a little bit. Okay. There we go. I think I've probably done this one a bit narrow now. Oh my goodness, I am really not on form. Not on form today. I feel really tired today. I don't know what that's about, but yeah, I feel quite tired, which is annoying. Yeah, I think I've cut these a bit narrow, to be honest. Oh well. They're quite forgiving, so, you know, we just kind of varied them a little bit. Oops. Do it this way. Okay. So just folding our ends up for the reinforcement sort of sections. Sorry if you could hear that noisy lorry. Yeah, today's been the first day that Bo's been like willing to go outside, you know, to the toilet. I mean, I've forced her out the other days, but yeah, today's been the first day that she's actually kind of like, I've opened the door and she's like, oh, it's okay, I don't mind going out. The other days she's kind of like, you know, I've opened the door and she's just turned away and attempted to walk away, and then I've had to physically lift her outside, you know. because otherwise she was like, I'm having none of that. She hates going out when it's wet. I mean, I can't blame her. I wouldn't want to go out in the wet either to go to the toilet, but yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. So then what we're going to do, remember, we're going to glue all of our, you know, folded reinforcement kind of sides down. So just glue them down. So, I mean, you know, they come together pretty quickly, to be honest. Definitely, you know, these could be a TV project if you've got like a little tray or something, because you need very minimal supplies for these, you know. I mean, literally, you know, we're hardly using anything, are we? So, yeah, I think these would be quite a nice little TV project. I mean, occasionally what I do is I actually take this whole Tim Holtz mat and just take this almost like a tray. I mean, obviously it's not that ideal because things do slip off it, but if I feel steady, then I can obviously, you know, carry it down without dropping things. And then it's pretty good because everything's, you know, whoops, everything's already on there. So, yeah. Okay. I mean, even if you just made the basic pieces whilst watching TV and then decorated them up the next day, because obviously the bits for decorating you're going to use, you know, have a bit more supplies, but yeah, what you could do is just make the make the base pieces and then decorate them, you know, when you come to do some crafting the next day at your desk, or, you know, whenever it might be at your desk. Okie dokie. There we go. Right. Okay. Okey-doke. Yeah, I think over the time I've done these hidden paper clips several different ways, and so when I saw obviously the requests for hidden paper clips, I thought, not sure which way, you know, which way would be best. So I actually went back through and you know, tried out a few different methods, and I thought, actually, you know what, this is, I think, probably the easiest way to do them. And obviously, you know, because we're doing the Missing Mojo Masterclass, we want to keep our crafting as quick and easy as possible, so, you know, it's not feeling stressy or anything, but we're kind of hopefully getting our crafty mojo back. So, and they're, you know, they're different to obviously just altered paper clips, which, you know, I love equally. I mean, I don't have a preference for which paper clips I think are nicer, but yeah, these are obviously a different sort of feel, aren't they? They're a different, you know, different type of paper clips. So, you know, it's nice to have a variety of paper clips. Oops. Okay. So I hope that you've all been having a good week. I mean, this is quite weird because obviously normally I tend to film ahead, and so my only video that I would call more live type style is my mass making. That's the one that goes up, you know, straight after I film it, kind of thing. The rest of my videos, you know, it could be weeks before they go up, you know, maybe even months before they go up. But yeah, now while I'm doing this series, it's like, oh, got like a Monday video and a Friday video, so it's like we can almost have a catch up at the front, the beginning of the week and then the end of the week as well. So there we go. I'm hoping to go to the cinema tonight, so yeah, hoping to go to watch, there's a Julia Roberts film, I can't remember what it's called. I haven't even watched the trailer to it, but like I said to my friend at the gym this morning, to be honest, do you know what, I don't even need to watch the trailer. The fact it's got Julia Roberts, that's good enough for me, because I just love Julia Roberts. She's so good, isn't she? And, you know, she's so watchable. So yeah, I hope I'm not really gutted, you know, like it might be something really dull story wise. I can't actually remember the name of it, but yeah, let me know if you've been to the cinema and you've watched the Julia Roberts film. Hey, if you even remember the name of the Julia Roberts film, then, you know, do say what it is. But yeah, I'm sure it will be good, you know, just because she's really good, isn't she? And to be honest, she's, you know, in very few things now. Well, like all of those A-listers, you know, you see them in very few things. I'm just going to do a couple of my metal ones as well. Yeah, so it's just nice to kind of see a film with an A-lister in it, really. So, okie dokie. Oh, I've done quite a few, because now I'm like, wow, look at how many I'm clipping on here. Tons and tons. Right, so obviously I can trim them down, you know, if any are a bit wide, which, to be honest, quite a few of them I think look a little bit on the wide side, because I'd rather them a bit more sort of rectangular rather than square. But, you know, again, it's okay. You can kind of like mix and match them and have some square, some rectangular. There we go. Yeah, I must have a look and see what that film's called. But yeah, my daughter's gone on her residential now. She went this morning. So, I mean, it's nice that the weather's lovely. So, although I suspect it won't be, you know, it won't stay lovely, but at least it is, you know, at first. I mean, I said to her, oh, what are you doing, you know, on the residential? And of course, you know, like, she's coming up for obviously a teenager, so, wow, you get no information out of her whatsoever. Oh, I don't know. Oh, don't know. The most I got out of her is that they're going to be doing laser tag. So, yeah, that's the only thing she kind of, like, divulged, that they're going to be doing laser tag, so. In the forest, apparently. So, hence, you know, it's quite nice that the weather's good, because otherwise, who wants to be out in the forest playing laser tag if it's pouring with rain? I mean, I'm sure they'd still do it, but having said that, maybe they wouldn't. Maybe the whole health and safety thing would kick in and they'd be like, oh, no, can't be doing that. I don't know. But yeah, I'm sure she'll have a lovely time. She kind of suddenly got panicked and didn't really want to go. But yeah, she is going. But I mean, it wasn't like an option, like, you know, she was going. But you know what it's like as a mum, you're like, oh no, I feel really bad making her go. But I just thought she'll really have a good time. You know, I don't know quite why she suddenly decided that she, you know, she didn't want to go. But anyway, probably been talking about it, you know, with her friends. And they've probably all been kind of saying, oh, I'm not sure I want to go, you know. Right. There we go. Now, the other thing that I would say is if you are finding that your glue takes a long time to glue on the next bit, you know, when we stick that other rectangle over, you could use maybe some hot... Just check I'm doing that one the right way up. You could always use some hot glue or something that goes, you know, just speed it up. Because you're gluing over, like, the metal of the paperclip, it's just going to be sort of slightly more resistant to wanting to glue down. But again, you know, it's not the end of the world. You could always kind of like bulldog clip them whilst it's drying, something like that. That would be sort of a good get around, really. Okay. Right, I'm thinking I've probably done enough of these. I should get the other rectangles on, otherwise we're not going to get many of these decorated, are we? So, yeah. Okay. Right. Let's check out what rectangles we're going to put with what. So that's quite nice on there. Okay. And obviously they don't have to be the same size even either side, because, you know, you're not really seeing the front and the back, are you? But okay. Put that one with that on. keep this. Oh, I'm not going to keep that. No, I must stop with the hoarding. Like, that was just a tiny little scrap. No need to be keeping that, is there? Absolutely crazy behaviour. Right. Okay. My automatic thing is, oh, I'll keep that. No, just stop with the keeping everything. Must stop. There we go. Oh, just want to say, so the journal that I showed this week in my mass making is still available on my website. And I've got another journal and a folio on there as well on my shabbydabbydoo.co.uk website. So I just wanted to say that. And also, I am covering the tariffs. So, you know, if you've kind of looked and you thought, oh, I'm not sure I want to buy it because of the tariffs, and, you know, that might not be, you know, maybe that's not an issue. But if you were worried about the tariffs, I have been covering the cost of those. So, yeah, if you're kind of in the US and you're, you know, you've looked at the journal or anything and you think, oh, not sure how much the tariff will be, I'm covering the cost of the tariffs. There's an option that comes up and I'm able to opt to pay that up front. So, you know, the cost of the postage and the cost of the journal, that's the total cost that you pay. There won't be any tariffs to pay at your end. So yeah, just kind of wanted to put that out there just in case that was a concern. And I should really do a video kind of just explaining this, but yeah, I know that obviously those tariffs, they, you know, they have put on a you know, a cost onto obviously the journals. But yeah, just want to assure you that actually, you know, I'm paying that up front, so you're not going to incur the cost of the tariffs at your end. You know, they're going to be covered at my end. So right, let's just take this down here. Yeah, I mean, who knows, maybe that's not why they haven't sold. But yeah, just if that's a concern, you know, then it's you know, I just wanted to put it out there that actually the total that you pay is the total that you pay. There won't be any further charges incurred, you know, further down the line. So yeah, just wanted to kind of reassure you really. So right, okay, let's just ink these up now. So just ink this up here. Because I do have another, you know, some other journals to put up in the next, you know, few weeks. But I mean, obviously, yeah, I'm going to have to rethink this because if I'm not selling journals, I may not be able to make any more, you know, because, yeah, I'm going to become overrun with journals then. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe I will do more smaller kits and things like that because obviously in the UK, that seems to be what sells best, is the smaller sort of items. Yeah, I mean, that would be a shame because I would miss making the journals and the folios, but, you know, yeah, I don't want to be kind of like overrun in the end with them, but we'll see. We'll see how it sort of goes, but there we go. I mean, let me know below, you know, has that been a factor for you, the, you know, the tariffs? Has that kind of perhaps been a sort of prohibitive factor? And maybe you've kind of looked and thought, oh, you know, I don't want to incur the tariffs. Or maybe, you know, maybe that's not kind of a factor at all. But yeah. There we go. It's so weird. When I look outside, it actually looks a bit like a summer's day today because, you know, I can't see any wind or anything. It looks really lovely. But trust me, it's pretty chilly out there. But yeah, you could easily be like lured into a false sense of security. Right, so here you obviously, oops, obviously could use, you know, this is where I'm saying you could use your hot glue because it will just kind of speed up the process. And I've just obviously glue, you know, exactly as I am here. The only thing that I would say is if you're gluing down with the hot glue, you're going to want to press it down pretty quickly before your glue comes to, you know, becomes too lumpy. Because sometimes obviously hot glue can be, you know, as soon as it starts to dry, it can be a bit lumpy. So, you know, just something to bear in mind if you're doing that. But okay. Oops. I mean, really, you want to make sure that they're just really glued sort of down on the edges around like that. Okay. Oops. And then we'll decorate some up in a minute. So, oops. There. And obviously, you know, if you wanted to make your outer rectangle, i.e. this bit, if you wanted to make it wider so it covered more of your base piece, then you could do that, to be honest. You know, it's up to you kind of how you do them really, but I might just show you just one where I said about the gluing two separate pieces of paper on, just to sort of show you how that would look. So just glue these down. Okay. Oops. And like I say, I mean, to be honest, you might prefer the 2 sheets of paper more, you know, if you've just got metal clips. Obviously the plastic coated ones, for me personally, I'd be like, oh, I can now see the plastic. But I mean, again, maybe that's me being a little bit sort of overly fussy, I don't know, but oops. Okay. So we've got some nice varieties there. Let me just take one now. Oh, here we go. So this has got the metal clip. So I'll just take some different paper. Just bring in. Oops. Oh, here we go. So here, if you wanted to kind of like have your 2 rectangles, for example, rather than the one piece, so cut that down there. And then personally what I would do is I would take it down like this, do my rounding of the corners, you know, if I was going for a rounded corner, that is, with it whilst it's together, and then work out how far down I want it to go, and then I've just cut them together, so like that. Okay, snip that off there. Okay, oops, come on. Right, sorry, I have to just move my lace there. And then, oops, keep this. Right, and we'll just ink this up. These bits. Oops, ink this on. Just ink around the base piece. Okay. Like that, and then you can just glue it on here. Okay, so you're going to want to go quite up close to the edge, just because obviously otherwise you're going to end up with a sort of you know, gappy and tatty, and that's where they can start to look a little bit messy, which was what obviously one of the comments said, or you know, a couple of the comments had said. So stick that sort of there, you know, snug up against the top like that. So, I mean, it is still hidden. You can obviously see a tiny little bit of the paperclip, but I mean, technically that is still, you know, still a hidden paperclip. So, okie dokie. But then you see you don't have that, you know, where I said the two bits of paper aren't quite flush. You haven't got that sort of happening. So, you know, it's horses for courses. Maybe that would be the expression there. So again, just glue this down like that. So that's the kind of slightly different sort of look. So I mean, I think they're both fine. I've got to round the corners on this. I think they're both fine. But yeah, if you're using the plastic coated paper clips especially, I probably would go for this method. So as I cover up the entire paper clip. So let's just move these little skinny bits that I've cut way too small. So yeah, again, I'm just going to keep those because I might be able to use those for something else. Right, let's decorate up a few of these. So yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, we've got these ones left to make. So I'll obviously finish those off in a bit. But that's the little prototype type one that I made before coming on. Right, now to decorate these, I've printed off some bits from my symphony orchestra kit. So I'm just going to take some of these. Now I printed this 2 to a page. Now unfortunately, I don't know what's going on with my printer, but yeah, as you can probably see, they're really in, you know, there's massive borders around there. I don't know what's going on with the printer, but yeah, I can't seem to actually now do 2 to a page as such. Instead, what I have is then I can just do like from the picture version, if you see what I mean. I'm not making much sense, but yeah, I can't now opt 2 to a page in the options bit. I can only do it on the screen where it shows you the picture, which now I can't then, you know, that's way smaller, if you see what I mean. So these are now really small. So yeah, it's a bit annoying. But anyway, hopefully that'll be fine. So I like to kiss cut when I'm doing these little musical instruments just because they're pretty fiddly. So if I kiss cut them rather than sort of close cut, you know, fussy cut them, then I find that just much easier to, you know, to cut out. And to be honest, I think they look pretty cute with the little white edges. So that's one. And then I'll just do a little heart on here as well. Okay. Yeah, you get 2 sheets of the fussy cut kind of instruments and things, and a sheet of roses. This is a whole full-size kit, so it's not one of my smaller kits. This is a full-size kit. You get a huge amount of background pages and a huge amount of ephemera. So it's a complete kit. And it's to update my original symphony orchestra, which was just black and sort of ivory. This one's obviously got the addition of the pink. It's got the roses and all of that. So yeah, it's a bit of a different sort of look to the original symphony orchestra kit. So right, just ink this. Okay, I'm going to put it on this one, I think. So I'm just going to use a bit of lace. Now I've coffee dyed a bit just before I came on, so yep, it's been hanging, drying on my hot glue gun. Oops. So maybe kind of, yeah, maybe like that. Or would I want it? Oh, maybe like that. Okay. So yeah, just going to glue that. Now I'm thinking possibly a little label or something in the background as well. So let me just see if I've got any labels here. Oh, come on, I must have some labels. Not that I can see. Well, perhaps I'll take a little rose in that case. Wondering where my little French labels are. forgot to kiss cut this, and I've now like fussy cut it close. What an idiot. I don't mind that, but if I fussy cut one, you know, kiss cutting, I feel like I should do that on all of them. So let me just do another one. I know that's weird, but yeah, I don't like it looking different, you know, for each one. So let's just do this one instead. So right, must remember I'm kiss cutting this, not close cutting it. Okay. Oops. Right, it's better, isn't it? Oh no, I'm thinking, do I want this? No, as I have the instrument higher. No, I do want it on the lace, I think. So, yeah, I'm going to put that down there. Let's just sync this up. I think I do want a label on here, so I'm going to have to dig those out. Oops, actually, spotted. Isn't it annoying when you think you've got everything that you need, and then you come to do something and you're like, oh, didn't bring those things. You know, it's, yeah, just frustrating. You know, no matter how many things you bring along, it's never quite what you actually need. Oh, come on. Have I got any that need cutting out still? Hold on. Oh, come on. Come on, come on. Oh, come on. There must be some in here. Honestly, I feel like you printed out loads the other day, and surely I haven't used them all already. Although I have been using them a lot. They're really nice labels. Yeah. Surely I haven't used them all. It's quite shocking if I have. Oh, this is really annoying. No idea. Got a black label there. And that's quite nice. I wonder if I could just have that. That's quite pretty, isn't it? Right, let me just ink around here. Okay, so again, just going to glue this down. I mean, obviously I'm just saturating my paperclip even more, really, because, yeah, it's still soggy from the glue. But now, at this point, when you're decorating it, this is where you're going to disguise, like, if you can see your paperclip through your paper a little bit, that's where it's going to get, you know, disguised. So it's going to make your paperclip look, you know, less messy, basically. Now, I'm going to hot glue my pieces on now, because that's going to be easier to glue on, and obviously it's going to be quicker whilst I'm filming. So yeah, just put a bit of lace down there, and then we'll just pop this on. Okay, like that. I mean, how absolutely gorgeous does that look? Really, really pretty. And then obviously you can see the, you know, both sides of these. So just turn it over, and don't know really. Okay. Put this one down. Maybe like that, and a bit of lace. Oops. Just try it there. Yeah, okay, so that looks pretty, doesn't it? So again, just going to hot glue this. What a waste, look, I'd coffee dyed that on the back. Hate it when I've been to the trouble of coffee dyeing and then I'm just going to glue it down and no one's even going to see that I've coffee dyed it. Okay, and then here. Okay, like that. I mean, how absolutely gorgeous does that little paperclip look? So just going to show you that now clipped over. So obviously the hidden paperclip is in there. So this now just slots on like that onto your page. So doesn't look messy or anything, looks super pretty and pretty on, you know, both sides. So yeah, really, really gorgeous. And like I say, that I think, you know, from my my point of view, that's the easiest way to make the hidden paperclips. So yeah, let me know what you think, and I'm going to decorate the rest of these up, and I will try and remember to put some more altar paperclips in my shop on my website as well. So yeah, hopefully coinciding with this video, I will have put some more paperclips up on my Shabby Dabby Doodah website. So yeah, hope that you like it, and let me know if you make some of these, how many you made. Did you find this the easiest method to make the hidden paperclips? You know, let me know what you think. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Have fun making yours. Really appreciate a big thumbs up. Oh, and don't forget to leave any suggestions of what you would like to see in the next or the last couple of episodes of this series. So thanks so much then, and have a fantastic day, everybody. If you haven't subscribed, really appreciate you subscribing, and yeah, see you guys soon. Thanks then. Bye.